Well, this happens sometimes at the theme parks where my camera lens starts to fog up a little bit, so sorry about that. I just got out of the shower, I just got in the car, ready to drive back to Chicago. I slept about an hour longer than I was originally planning. I still should be okay, but also a word you're not supposed to mention before going to an outdoor baseball game. It is RAINING. So I don't know if Mother Nature's gonna try to give me a few extra minutes to get there, but it is off to Wrigley in Chicago. I'm so excited to have this experience. I'm just a little nervous that I just needed the extra 60 minutes of sleep. I needed 5 hours instead of 4 hours. So, I think that's reasonable. I think that I should still have enough time. And now that I know where I'm going for everything, like I have that muscle memory from being a lot of these places yesterday, I'm hoping that it doesn't take me as long because I'm not stuttering and being unsure about myself. So, let's hit the road. at the famous Cubby Bar right across the street from Wrigley Field. I got the mac and cheese bites. I got the famous Parmesan cheese fries. It was a little pricey, but you expect those things right across from a ballpark like this. Right now I'm in an area where you need a ticket, but you are not necessarily in the stadium yet. And I'm just gonna look at some of the vendors. I might look at the team store, and then I'm gonna head into Wrigley Field. There was actually a giveaway today with a special ticket, knowing that Pearl Jam was in Chicago on Tuesday and Thursday, with this day game where we're highly expecting Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam to be here in some form or fashion. Because of that, they did a special ticket that came with an Eddie Vedder Cubs jersey, and I hesitated like 2 minutes. Did I want to buy a second ticket to the game? And I hesitated and I lost out, and I'm now looking at all of these people getting their Eddie Vedder Cubs jerseys, and it's a little emotional. But I'm going to go head in now and start enjoying Wrigley Field. Alright, that was 100% worth it. That is an experience that lives up to the hype. Just saw my first game ever at Wrigley Field. I got my Helmet Sunday helmet, which is something that I always like to get at ballparks, and it was actually oat milk for the ice cream, and it was really, really good. So that was a pleasant surprise as well. The only slight disappointment, I would say, is that they did the big Pearl Jam Eddie Vedder giveaway. They played Pearl Jam music the entire game, like in between almost every half inning. But then there was nothing with Eddie Vedder or any members of Pearl Jam, so I thought maybe he would sing the 7th inning stretch song or do the ceremonial first pitch, and nothing, but I guess it's okay. I will have the opportunity to see them again tomorrow. So heading back now to the hotel, but I might do something tonight if I get back quickly enough. Back at the hotel, I thought I might have a chance to catch the South Bend Cubs game tonight, if I would be able to get back into South Bend in enough time to catch that single A baseball game this evening, but I wasn't even close. I hit a ton of traffic in Chicago, and I was then running into the problem where everything was closed and there was no food to get before I went back to my hotel. So what I ended up doing is something that I've really wanted to do for a while now, and I figured I would probably end up doing this at some point on the road trip, but I got the Impossible Whopper from Burger King. Look at how big this is. Like, I'm used to fast food restaurants like underselling the size of their stuff, but this is really, really big. This is an Impossible Burger Patty, a plant-based burger patty, and they've got some toppings. I know they don't have cheese. I can't speak to whether this is vegan. I know that it is definitely vegetarian. I did make sure of that, but I think that there might be some mayonnaise. I don't know if it's a plant-based mayonnaise. I don't know. I'm flying blind here. But you can get 2 of these for $7. So that's actually a pretty good deal if they're good. So let's do this. The only critique, the only criticism at all, is it's a little dry. And I was going to ask for some more ketchup and mustard, and I just plain forgot. It did take them a little longer because they don't have these made to order. So I actually had to pull off to the side, and then they made them on a special burner for me as well, so that they weren't on the same one where they cooked the regular burgers with meat. So I was happy about how they were prepared. I was happy about the service I got. The guy was really, really nice. Let me see if I can get a bite here with some tomato. That might help with the dryness. Tomato and pickle in that bite. Okay, make sure you spread out your toppings a little better. I think that's the deal. Very good, especially for the price. already in Chicago for the day. It's Thursday, the day of the second Pearl Jam show, and I decided after getting back to the hotel and resting last night that today I would sleep in a little bit. I would just relax in the hotel, get into Chicago in the middle of the afternoon. I'm going to be meeting a friend for dinner, and then it's time for the show. So, kind of a lazier day because tomorrow's the day that I'm heading back home, and then I'm going to have to be well rested. Well, that was a pleasant surprise, I'll tell you that. So I was just walking to the restaurant a few blocks away from United Center, and here in Union Park they have a statue to James Connolly, which was completely and totally unexpected for me. Many of you know, like last year I walked across Ireland to raise money and awareness in the fight against domestic violence, and I went to see a lot of sites when I was there related to Michael Collins, and I've talked about Michael Collins and how he's a hero of mine. Well, James Connolly is actually sort of that older generation, like one generation before Michael Collins. He was executed as one of the members of the Easter Rising at the GPO in Dublin that ended up leading to the creation of first the Irish Free State and then the Republic of Ireland. He was also a labor organizer here in the United States and in Scotland. So in addition to his work for the creation, the eventual creation of the Irish Republic, he also was a US union organizer during a lot of the Industrial Revolution. Is a really, really important figure for a lot of different reasons, and another one of my heroes. And to just see that statue of him here in a random park right by United Center, really, really cool. So on the way to the restaurant my friend picked, which was a restaurant called Crave Kebab, I saw the famous Billy Goat Tavern. So I thought I have to stop in and get at least something in the famous Billy Goat Tavern. You can look up the story online if you want to know a little bit more about it, but I just got a quick grilled cheese sandwich and some fries, and then we ate some healthier food at Crave Kebab. But now we've got just a couple minutes to walk to the venue and finally see the show. So I'm getting real stoked.
That's what no one wants to do.
every day this week when I was coming back from Chicago to go to my hotel in Indiana, I passed the New Rockne Travel Plaza and I kept saying, tomorrow I'll stop, tomorrow I'll stop. Well, this is my last time heading back into Indiana for this trip. So even though it's about 2:30 in the morning, I decided that I would stop. It's a nice little break, although I'm only about 30 minutes away from my hotel, but I wanted to stop at the New Rockne Travel Plaza. If you don't know who New Rockne was, he was the basically first really successful head football coach at Notre Dame. They had had football before New Rockne, and he was a successful player at Notre Dame as well, but really when he became the coach, he took them just to the next level. and they became this national brand, this national program. They did things like go all the way out west to play against USC, and teams just didn't do that back then. So it was a fun thing that I wanted to see. I am a huge Notre Dame sports fan, not just football fan. There are a lot of people who are Notre Dame football fans, but I love their baseball team, women's basketball, men's basketball. I watched the lacrosse national championship match when Notre Dame won the national championship earlier this year. So that is actually going to be my focus for Friday, my last day on the trip, since I'm staying in South Bend, Indiana, which is right where Notre Dame is located. I'm gonna spend that last day walking around campus, seeing some of the sites, the football stadium, the baseball stadium. There's just some beautiful sites on Notre Dame's campus. I've been a number of times, but I haven't been since 2017, so I always like to get the opportunity to walk around, see the grotto, the basilica, the Golden Dome, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I get to that in the videos. But here I am standing just, I don't know, 2 hours after the end of the Pearl Jam show, and I'm just so high on life right now. I know I said when I came back on Wednesday after seeing Wrigley Field and loving Wrigley Field and all that, that I was sort of having like a little bit of a down mental health situation because, well, I didn't mention that there were some things in the outside part of my life, like the real life part of my life, that I was trying to figure out while I was on the road, and that can be kind of a pain sometimes when you have to do new hire paperwork, for example. And I was having a hard time submitting some new hire paperwork for a job that's gonna help me make a little extra money this fall. And then I was getting dinked and dunked for tolls here and tolls there and just some stupid fees, and it felt like I was starting to get worried about this opportunity that I had in the fall to make a little extra money, and I was giving out more money than I was expecting. So it was sort of giving me a bad mental health day. Well, I resolved some of that stuff. Everything is still moving ahead according to plan with that fall job, and more importantly, I just really had a great night. I met up with my friend who lives in Chicago. No, not my co-host Marissa. She wasn't able to meet up with me during this trip, but we'll hang out in Chicago sometime. I'll come and see a White Sox game because she's a White Sox fan. But I hung out with another friend from Chicago, and he saw the show with me. We went out to eat. I showed you some of the food I had, which I was actually surprised by how much food I got at that one restaurant, the kebab restaurant. And I was a little upset because I was like, this is too much food for me, but now I'm happy because it's been hours and hours and I'm not hungry at all, and I can just go back to the hotel room and go to sleep. But I want to talk about the show just for a minute because there are many reasons that people like musical artists, and a lot of times it's just because they love the songs, and that's cool, and that's how it started for me with Pearl Jam as well. Like, I liked the songs that I heard on the radio. Then I started to work on a radio station. I worked on a rock radio station for 9 years, and I was playing Pearl Jam all the time. You know, when you start working in rock radio in the late 90s, like, you're playing Pearl Jam a lot. And I got into them that way, but there's a difference between the band you'll follow around the country, you'll drive across the country to see perform, and a band that you just like and you listen to their records. And I think the thing that I love so much about Pearl Jam is they've created this community. The fans are a community that travel around, and I saw a ton of people from the show on Tuesday night at Wrigley Field on Wednesday, and they were coming up and talking to me because they saw me at the show. And you create these bonds, this camaraderie. I don't know how many of you remember back in March when I raised money to buy basketballs, soccer balls, and volleyballs to donate to the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida. Well, that was inspired by Pearl Jam's bassist, Jeff Ament. His fan club, a bunch of people who are just really big fans of Pearl Jam's bass player, started collecting sports equipment to donate to youth charities in honor of his March birthday. And of course, March is also March Madness for college basketball, so the tie-in works there as well. But there's such a sense of community with this band, and trying to take the platform that they've created and try to do good things with it. And I think as I talk on our YouTube channel here, that's sort of what I've tried to do with the podcast and with the YouTube channel. I walked across Ireland to raise money and awareness in the fight against domestic violence. We raised money to buy basketballs, volleyballs, and soccer balls for Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida. We had Alicia Stella and Justin, aka at Disney with Booze, or I don't remember exactly what his X handle is, but we had both of them on the podcast to promote fundraisers for LGBTQ plus organizations. And I like that while it is much, much smaller than Pearl Jam's community, that I didn't just use this thing that I created to, you know, try to get media credentials or, you know, make money on ads. And if any of that ever happens in the future, like, that would be awesome. I'm not saying no to it. But where I think a lot of people focus on that kind of stuff, and that's fine, but we tried to focus a little bit on something different, and we always try to be inclusive. We have the Sarah Enigma on frequently to talk about dealing with chronic illness, and it's all about inclusivity. It's all about making sure everybody feels welcome, creating a community that is welcoming. And I think I learned that from Pearl Jam. I mean, when I talk about domestic violence, obviously, like, I was abused as a child. I grew up in an abusive household, and one of the people who helped me get out of that situation, even though he had no idea that I even existed, was Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam. And all he had to do was provide a positive example of a male role model who wasn't toxic, who wasn't abusive, who did respect women, who does respect women, who writes some songs from the perspective of women. Some of their biggest hits, Better Man, is written from the perspective of a woman who's stuck in a bad relationship. Daughter is written from the perspective of somebody's daughter who is being mistreated by her parents. Like, it is, it's just something that really helped me personally. And now just coming off of that show, and I'm all stoked, and I'm so happy that I did this trip and that I got to see them again for the first time in almost 6.5 years. And man, it's perfect. It's perfect. I'm such a lucky person to live this kind of life and to be able to have these experiences and to have latched on to a band that is still together all these years later. Pearl Jam came from the grunge revolution in the early 90s. There were 4 bands that were a really big part of that: Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and Alice in Chains. And the original lead singers of the other 3 are all dead. I'm just lucky that my band that I latched onto from that time period is the one that's still around here. And I know how lucky I am to have gotten to just see that show when I'm 43 years old. And not everybody gets that. All the excitement that you Swifties have for, you know, getting to see Taylor Swift on her Eras tour. Every night I was looking at Twitter and seeing all these people enjoying the Taylor Swift Eras tour. And I like Taylor Swift. Like, I have a few Taylor Swift albums, maybe like 5. But you know, she's not my favorite artist by any means. She's not geared towards me anyway. But I just love seeing people enjoy things like Swifties enjoying Taylor Swift, because I like when I get to share what I love with other people. So watching them share what they love with me is just something that is providing that energy. And make sure you enjoy it, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. So make sure you see the concert, make sure you go to the theme park, make sure you buy the ticket to the baseball game. Whatever it is, you can make money again. You can get an extra job to pay extra bills. You can find ways to do the things you love, because we're not here very long. We don't have an unlimited amount of time on this planet. So if you can get out and do those things, that's the whole purpose. I've been quoting some Pearl Jam lyrics throughout this video, and one that's been going through my head from the Pearl Jam song I Am Mine. And the quote is just, I know I was born, and I know that I'll die. The in-between is mine. And I try to live my life, you know, with that as a motto. Like, I'm not going to be here forever, and there's only so much time we have to do these things. That's why I love traveling. That's why I love seeing new places. That's why I try to never get sick of every time I get to ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, because I don't know what time is going to be my last on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So this is long. It was a little rambly, but I hope you found the purpose. And I'm going to get back in the car. I'm going to finish driving. I'm going to get to the hotel. But I am just feeling so high on life right now. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be finishing this vlog series, or vlog, however I decide to put it together then. I'll be finishing it fairly soon. Visiting the campus of Notre Dame on Friday. Also going to see a minor league baseball game in South Bend. And then we're heading back to Florida. Thank you so much for listening to me during this little rant. Alright, that was a long video. I decided to make it 2 days. I am here right now at Disney's Hollywood Studios, where I'm recording these little transitions, but I will return tomorrow with one last vlog from the series. This will include both Friday in South Bend, Indiana. I'm going to walk around the campus of Notre Dame University, well, the University of Notre Dame, and I'm going to see the South Bend Cubs High A minor league baseball game, and then immediately hop in the car and travel back home. So like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.